everyone, Down here with the next installment of my taxi testing and getting this thing ready to fly updates. So today's Sunday. It's pushing about 5:30 p.m. right now. I waited till later to come out. The temperature was supposed to have been in the low 80s today, and it's pretty warm. It's a really nice day here, as you can see. The windsock is kind of swinging around from the south to the west. If I can find it. It's hard to see in here with this shadow and this the darkness in this garage. Can't even see it myself. Yeah, where are you? It's there somewhere. I just can't see it. There she is, hiding in that tree. Right now it's kind of a little bit out of the south, but when I got here it was pretty much straight down the runway, and it was very close to straight out, so you're probably talking a good 15 mile an hour. But it is a little humid, not real hazy. It's been pretty clear skies all day. But so what I'm doing today is I just come down. I needed to check my coolant level, and the last time I checked it, it was down in this range. So I pulled the cowling. I got 3 screws on each side here, 5 around the top, and the 2 hinge pins. So I got that off, pulled the cap, and it looks like it hasn't moved. So I grabbed some water and I filled it up to about here. It might spit it out when it expands, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't low to where it was causing it to run pretty warm last week when I was running. I'd seen it up to like 220, which is, it's getting pretty warm at that point. But that was taxiing downwind and going fairly slow. So, the radiators are in the wings, so it needs some air movement. The props will do some, but it really needs to move. But since I took the cowling off, I looked everything over. One commenter said he thought he heard belt squeal, and I heard it too. But that thing is pretty tight. I don't want to tighten it anymore because it's just going to lean on this even harder. It only does it on deceleration, is when I hear it. Could be, it may or may not be, but I'm just checking over all the wiring, making sure nothing's rubbing, especially the plug wires on the inner cowling. This side over here, when I was looking in the cowling before, these two are really close to rubbing. There's a slight rub mark on them, light gray spot there and there, so I slid them, tucked them back in a little more, check the oxygen sensor down in there, make sure it's not coming loose, nothing, but everything looks good. Where this was leaking water before, we've got this water temp sensor right here in this block of aluminum that comes out of the coolant hose from the intake. The cylinder block, comes back through here, goes out to the wing, comes back, comes in through down there, and the other side comes in, and they both come together right here on this elbow, and then go into the thermostat, which I just replaced at the end of the year. So check the oil, it's perfect, clean. It's coming up on it. The oil's been in there for at least a year. I've only got maybe, probably less than 10 hours of run time on it. It's not a bad idea to change it. I'm going to try and find maybe some 1040 or something to put in it for this warmer weather. The oil pressure, when it's idling, will drop down to, 20 or 30 pounds. But, well, everything's looking good. I don't see anything of any problem. So what I'm going to do is put the cowling back on, pin it back up, and I'm going to mount the camera. Okay, I've got a new idea for a camera mount. I watched a bunch of videos on how people were doing it with their GoPros and the likes, and some of the really neat ideas work for aluminum aircraft. Any high wing aircraft with struts, everyone attaches them to the struts. But this airplane, another option was to take out like a inspection cover screw hole, a screw out of a hole, and then you screw in an adapter block, or a little round 1-inch diameter block with the same size stud on it. You screw it in, tighten it into where the screw was, and then the top section is where you can mount your camera. So anywhere you had a screw, but this is being a composite plane, there's nothing like that here. But I just so happen to have this clamp mechanism. So that's what I was clamping onto the canopy frame last week. When you watched the video last week, you couldn't really see much. It was hard to tell when the tail came up. But I've had these brackets made, and this screws just into the bottom of the camera. It only goes in, like a 1/4 of an inch but this thumb wheel will tighten after the screw goes in and bottoms out, and then I can tighten it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this thing. Sorry, my finger's probably over the microphone. I'm going to mount this thing right here, so you'll be able to see me and the tail wheel for this first run. And then I can, you know, turn it up here and take a look this way, or kind of put it out this way and get a view. So, but my first run, I want to see how much the tail actually lifts. Last week, I don't think it lifted maybe a foot or so, because if it lifts up, you know, that tail's got to literally come up probably 2 feet. This tail is about 2 foot off the ground as it is, and it needs to come up, you know, 4 feet off the ground, so at least another 2 feet to get this thing in the level attitude, flying attitude. So I'm going to attach this right here so you have a view. What I'll probably do is I'll probably go down the runway first, once maybe or twice, to see how it's going to handle, make sure nothing's changed, and then I'll have to stop, get out, turn the camera on, get back in the plane. I'll do this at the end of the runway, so I'm not taxiing a long way out to the runway. And then I'll try and make a pass, at least with that. And then if that one goes well, I'll turn the camera maybe to the front, so you can get more of a front view or something. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, get this cowling on, and for you guys, it'll only be a second. All right, I'll be back shortly. Okay, everybody, I'm back. I'm down at the end of 2.5. The wind down here today is, the radio saying it's 220 at 8. The runway is 250, so there's 30-degree crosswind. But I'm standing down here on the east end of the runway, and it's damn near due south, if not a little southeast up here. So I've already done 2 trips down the runway, and I had it up to like 50. But the winds are just doing some crazy things down there. It's standing beside the hangar. It's like right out of the south. Right here it feels completely out of south. Down there in the runway, so it's swinging around. So I wasn't able to get up more than 50 mile an hour with the plane. It was just getting a little too squirrely. So basically all I'm going to try and do on this run is show you guys my camera setup, so you can see what happens. That second run the wheel did bounce up once. I think it was just more of a bounce than anything. But I was, like I said, doing at least 50. But it gets pretty squirrely down there on the end. We're running into a tree line on the south side, and it's got the winds doing some funny stuff. So I'm not going to try and get the tail off. I just want to see what this camera view is going to look like from this angle. So stick with me. I got to get in, buckle up, strap on, and we'll get down the runway, and I'll get out and stop it. And when I get back, I'll talk some more. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, clear. All right, everybody, that's the little run. It started getting a little hairy there because the winds were definitely kicking around, so I had to stop a little earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and stop this right here, and I will re-engage when I get back to the hangar. See you in a minute. All right, folks, we're back in the hangar. Get this thing off the pitot tube. There we go. Hopefully that worked out good. Make sure it's all the way back, sorry. First plane coming in since I've been here. Little Cessna. But yeah, the winds down there they're kind of all over the place. Like I said, here beside the hangar, the winds are coming right out of the south. The east end of the runway, right out of the south. Windstock still showing out of the southwest. It said it was 220 at 8, so it's 30-degree crosswind when it's 220. But that thing's been swinging due south, so it's back and forth like crazy. So I didn't want to push it. I don't think the tail came off at all back here on that run, but I just was curious to see what it was going to look like in a video with this camera mounted right here on my pitot tube. Got it tucked in. That thing's solid. It's not going to move. So let's see. Again, I was probably doing 50 mile an hour, but it got was starting to get a little hairy down there, so I just backed off. And after I backed off, I was still doing 40. That's by airspeed, so if there's 10-15 mile an hour headwind, I'm only doing 30 ish. So I think that's about it. I've been down here. I got down here after 5. I was hoping to get see the weather calm down, because I'm not gonna be able to get down here at all the rest of this week. They're calling for 90 degrees, give or take, like all week long, and they said it could go higher. Like I said, right now it's probably in the low 80s, if not mid 80s. So last week's video, everybody was concerned with my button here for getting into this compartment area. Now, if you see me in the video, my head is clear up here. When I bend my neck all the way back, my head comes clear back right here. But looking at it, from this angle where I was holding it, it looks like it's really close. But my head can't touch it. I can't even hardly touch this with the back of my head. Basically, the top crown of my head, I could probably touch right about here. So, and with that seatbelt holding you in there, I'm not going to come up and hit it. So, but appreciate everyone's concerns. Other than that, everything seemed to run just fine, rolled fine, had no problems starting it, no issues whatsoever. The only problem I'm running into now is my damn arm on this seatbelt. When I was buckled in, I got all bucked in, my arm catches this buckle. It opens it just enough to pop the thing loose. So it took me a little bit longer to get rolling it to start this video at the end of the runway, because my hand, I unhooked that thing like 3 times today because it's kind of damp and humid and sticky. It needs to be kind of stretched over more. When I'm buckled in, it's clear over here. I need to get it more in the center. I can shorten this side up. This side I'm almost out of strap, but I think I can get it over some more. So, but again, everything's working fine. I did check. I don't have a 7 amp breaker. I ended up buying that 7 amp. You can't really see in here, but I put the 7 amp on the tail wheel. Now I could take and let me get this back in focus. I could take and that's why I keep hitting the zoom on you folks. I could take the 7 amp, put it on the starter circuit, and then I've got a 10 amp I can put back on the tail wheel, because I'm pretty sure that's what I had on it, was a 10 amp first. Let me get my phone out. This camera's kind of getting hazy. But if you can see, let's see, 1, 2, third one from the bottom is the 5 amp breaker. It's for the starter. 5 amp for the starter. And I can come up here to the tail wheel and pull that 7 amp out up here and move that down there, and then put a 10 amp and place it for the tail wheel. Should be okay. But again, everything's working good. Just wasn't comfortable at all out there with those winds. It's been kind of like that since I've got here, and again, everything under the cowling looked good. Let's see, I was 11/8, so I put like 4/10 of an hour on it. That was the 3rd run down the airport. So I'm staying here sweating, so I'm going to go ahead and push this thing back in place. As you can see, our helicopter is back. Going to be flying again out of here for a while, so I'm tucked in over there. All right, I don't think there's anything else I need to comment on. Again, it's rolling good. It just was just a little too squirrely out there today. It doesn't seem like much, but Titusville has the same problem. When I used to down there fly my gyrocopters all the time, when you get down to the end of the tree line, you'd hit this circling wind down there every time. That airport is essentially north-south. So as you take off to the south, you get hit with a west crosswind off the tree line. You're kind of insulated on the west from the winds, prevailing winds. So, okay, well, I've had enough. Again, I'm not gonna be able to get down here this week because it's just gonna be too nasty. And Cessna just taken back out again. Where is he? Here he comes. Alright, that's it folks. I'm headed for home. Getting all sweaty. Gonna stop and grab me something to drink on the way. And as always, appreciate everyone taking the time to watch these videos. Again, feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns, and I will answer them as they come in. And thanks for all the comments on the last video. I think we're coming to the end on those comments, so probably won't be till next weekend. Next weekend, I believe, yes, is the tenant party cookout. So anybody that rents hangar space here, flies out here regularly, they're invited to a annual cookout, I guess. So I'll be down here next Saturday for that. And if I get this out or not, I'm not sure. But if this camera mount looks okay and the winds are good, I'll when I get back down here, I'll remount it there. Another option, like I was talking earlier about the screws, I've got all these screws in the cowling here that I could pull out one of those, put a stud in there, and I could mount the camera right here facing, out this way. I could stick it down here, face it out this way, give you that kind of view. That's an option. I'd have to make a little bushing with I think it's a 1032 screw on that, but that's an option. But this one seems to be a good option. I do have a little GoPro style camera coming. So with that, I can do the same thing, mount it here. And then I found people are just taking a plane of a piece of aluminum, maybe 6-inch square, drill a hole in the center of it, countersink it, put a screw up in there, again put a little bushing on it, and then mount the camera. And then you can just slap that camera up here somewhere, and they're just basically using, they call it gaffer's tape. It's a tape for riggers that do concerts and stuff. When they tape cords down to the floor and everything, it's called gaffer's tape. It's a really sticky stuff, but it peels off fairly good, I guess. So, but you can actually just tape the thing right to here. So I can give you kind of a view, something like this. And then with the with that GoPro style camera, it'll have a 170 degrees thing, so you'll be able to see the whole wingtip to wingtip off of that little camera. It'll probably get shipped tomorrow. I just purchased it Friday night, so it didn't show any movement over the weekend, so it'll probably go out tomorrow. And it's coming out of Nevada or someplace, so it'll be a few days before it really gets here. But maybe it'll be here in time to get her mounted up and try a couple different views. So I'll make up a couple mounts where I can put it back there and maybe up here even though I got time this week if it is so stinking hot in the garage. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to go now. So I'm going to get home and splice this stuff all together, look at it, see what it looks like, get her uploaded, and give you guys something to look at least for this week. So, again, not going to see me again probably till next weekend. Maybe beginning of the week, next weekend, after next weekend, beginning of the week. So any day from Saturday to Tuesday, I can come down here and do this stuff. Right now, I was a little concerned, the only one out here, no one else around, that if I have an incident, flip the plane over or something, ain't nobody around to help me get out. I do carry my cell phone with me, so. Okay, folks, that does it for now, and I will see you on the next one. Hope you enjoy this one. For now, this is Dino Done Out.